Here at Game Changing Dads, we know how tough it can be to stay motivated to be a good husband and a good father. That's why each week we bring you honest, real discussions about how to lead, love, and live. If you're looking for ways to take charge of your leadership role at home, visit GameChangingDad.com to find helpful tips on how to stay focused on your number one priority as you maneuver through the demands of your career.
Welcome to Game Changing Dads, where we encourage husbands and fathers to lead, love, and live. This is your host, Razor Ray Matz, and I hope you are locked in and ready to roll because it is going to get crazy. On today's show, I had the privilege to interview my great friend, Peter Dale. Peter is an awesome husband, father, mentor, and coach, a former professional roller hockey player, 6-time world champion as a player, 3-time junior world champion as a coach, founder of Team USA Clinics, which is the #1 roller hockey program in the world, currently owner of Farm Tough Hockey, and just a rock star kind of guy. His motto is, the better you get, the more fun you will have. Peter, welcome to Game Changing Dads.
What's up, Razor? Dude, I'm so pumped to be here. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on, and it's great to see and commute with your audience. Thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, we have a lot of anxious game-changing dads out there that literally fired up about your story. So give us a quick snapshot from childhood all the way to where you are today. Have fun with it and just roll.
Right on. Well, so I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, right, the heart of the Midwest, and normal kid, right? The cool thing about us in the day was we was a kid that was very active, loved to play sports. So throughout all of my youth, it was whatever sport was there. We'd run around the neighborhood with the kids. We'd ride bikes. We'd go outside. We'd play kick the can. We played kickball. You'd stay, get up in the summertime, go out as soon as the sun came up and stay out until the sun came back. So I would say my childhood, if I described it, was just a lot of family, a lot of friends, neighborhood kids hanging out together, being really, really active. And I think that probably spawned my interest and my love for just sports, always being active. And so from there, right, we grew up in a time which was great where you could just play a sport. You didn't have to guarantee yourself and dedicate year round. So growing up through junior high, through elementary, and even in high school. In high school, I played 5 sports. So I would play football, diving, hockey, baseball, and track. So those were my 5 sports in high school. It was great because, when one season came up, you'd play one season, you'd put it away, right? The skates would go away after winter. You get out the baseball bat, you'd play baseball. And so that was sort of my love of sports and being able to go through that and play with that. So great friendships, great coaches through all that process. And so through that, it led me to, after high school, going to St. Mary's College, again, a small Division III school. So I was able to play multiple sports. So I played hockey, soccer, and tennis in college, which was a great thing for me. So it was sort of specialized trainers, year-round types of stuff of kids. And so that sort of got me through college. After school, I met my wife, Lisa, in Colorado, skiing. And we have 2 kids. I have Dylan and TY. Dylan's going to turn 16 on Saturday. TY turned 13 just the other day. And so we've got 2 kids living on a farm in Wisconsin. We bought this old 5.5-acre farm, turned it into a hockey training center, and we are just rocking and rolling out here in Wisco.
Awesome, Peter. Thank you so much. Let me get back to, you said you just had a crazy, crazy active childhood and, multiple sports, which I love. And my story, back in Kensington and Philly, growing up in the hood, playing hockey in the street,
That's right.
living out our NHL, our dreams. But what's the challenge today? You have young kids. I have young kids. When it comes to electronics and finding that balance, how do you, I guess, manage and help parents through, instead of me playing on a Kindle or the iPad for, 8 hours, hey man, it's time to get out of the house.
Yeah, well, I think that the biggest challenge first, as always, is it seems like kids are getting devices, phones, things younger and younger, right? I get it, right? When you're out, you're trying to have a dinner with your family, and the entertainment value of putting a Kindle or an iPad in front of your child to be able to watch, but you just see this generation of kids getting so focused and so just singularly minded, focused on a device, on something in their hands, that they forget to see what else is going on around them. So, as we have players that come out literally from all over the world to stay at the farm and train, right? One of the biggest rules when they come into the house, right? We all sit around the kitchen when we eat, the phones go off, they go into a basket, right? There's no phones, there's no texting, right? We don't Snapchat when we're training or we're working out and things like that. So we try to lay down the guidelines and the rules and expectations of what they are, right? You get it that people want to stay connected to their kids and their families and things and stuff like that. And so we always try to set time aside for that. So we do that when we come in at meals. We try to take that away and we remove that. We usually try to enforce some type of an idea and a guideline at night too, because I think what happens too is a lot of times, kids, they get stuck on things, and at night they try to go to bed, and every 2 seconds your phone's beeping and they start looking at it, and now they start staying up and they can't go to sleep and stuff like that. So I think shutting that stuff off at night is a huge thing, and that disconnect is so important, and it's easy to get caught up in it, and we all can get caught up in it. And me, for a fact, look, I'm going to show you right on my watch. It's just a regular watch. I have an iWatch, right? I have an Apple Watch that I think I've had some type of device on my wrist for like 5 years. And I finally just said, dude, enough. I gotta unplug, right? Text popping up on it, or getting so focused on like how many steps I had or how much I worked out. And I was like, you know what? I got to cut the cord. And it's been so great. And I just feel so much more relieved by not having that sort of attachment. And it's so much better. So I think it's one of the challenges we face as parents, trying to make sure that you can manage that with your kids and make sure that there's the boundaries.
So we don't need another device to manage. We just need literally a basket. Talk about crazy, awesome advice.
Hey, basket it up.
Hello.
Throw it in.
Going old school, man. Love
That's
it.
Right.
And I think a lot of parents out there are just at that, that wall and going, okay, what do I do? And just going back, eating together, training together. I love seeing a lot of folks. I love Facebook Live. And like you said, getting together and just having the connection. But, when you're in the middle of a game and Facebook and Live, and you just, run into the end boards because you're trying to like take a selfie, it's stinking ridiculous. I don't.
Right. 100%.
But finding the balance, and I love the basket, man. What a great way to put it, man. Dump them in the basket, have that basket right on the kitchen table, throw it in the pantry, and we're good to go.
Good to go.
So let's talk about business. Okay. So let me go back pre USA Clinics. What was what kind of businesses? Were you always an entrepreneur? Was there somebody that was an influence in your life that said, Peter, it's time to do your thing?
Yeah. So interesting enough, right? Before USA Clinics and starting, I started a kids magazine back when I was just right out of college. And so there was a guy in Colorado who my sister was dating named William Logan, who had this cool like magazine that he designed called The Seed. And that was in Colorado. And it was more of a nightclub, sort of an underground scene. That's kind of when raves were happening and stuff like that. And so I just thought it was like the coolest thing, right? He had this magazine and they'd publish it, and it'd be at all these nightclubs and, restaurants and grocery stores and stuff. And I was like, man, that'd be really cool. And so no idea how to design, how to be a desktop publisher or do anything like that. I said, I'm going to start a kids magazine. So I started this magazine called IT Magazine. It stood for Imaginative Thinking. And so the idea and the concept was for kids, by kids. And so I'd gather kids that were in high school, and we would create content, and we actually created a news web print magazine. And probably by the time we were done with it, we were in about maybe 25 different high schools and coffee shops, and we were hosting, things at Drake University through for training in kids in college, and we were having, open mic nights at Barnes and Nobles and having poetry readings, and it was just sort of this push and this thing about kids trying to be creative and, explore, other ideas and thinking outside of the box. So I think for me, that's where it really kind of started, where it was, I was living in this house where I had this buddy who owned this house, and he was dating this girl. So he never was home. And he kind of just basically said, hey, listen, this is what the mortgage is on the house. You can rent it out to whoever you want. And I started, just renting out rooms so that basically I could live for free, really inexpensively, and, work at a coffee shop and pursue this sort of publisher type of, career. And so funnily enough, funnily, which is a great word, right? I met a bunch of people that I'm still really good friends with today that lived at that house. And I mean, I'm talking about meet people walking down the street looking for, a room, and now they're one of my best friends still. So that's kind of for me where I think the entrepreneurial kick started. I've been self-employed my whole life, never really worked for anybody else, always sort of was, whatever I could do and whatever I could bring in was kind of where it was. So for me, the magazine really still holds a deep place in my heart. I love it. I love kids. I love that idea of just positive habits, positive living, positive attitudes, and getting kids to think differently and look at things differently. So for me, that's probably where everything started.
Awesome. So through that magazine, I mean, just you had some great influence there. And I share this with a lot of fathers that, you are who you hang around with. If you're hanging around people that are just disconnected from their families, working too much, focused on money, I mean, you are going to miss the boat. You're going to wake up in 30, 40 years going, where did I go wrong? Where did I end up? Maybe it's a marriage. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's just your kids aren't talking to you. But having that connection and, whether it's entrepreneur friends, people that are positive thinkers, now I just think that is just awesomely huge. Let's talk about your awesome family. I am a big Lisa Dale fan.
Mama
Kids
Lisa.
are awesome. So let's talk about, we hear a lot, especially in our mastermind groups. I'm working too much. Wife's working this way. I'm going this way. The kids are just, daycare, grandma, granddad's house, boys and girls club. So, you're running hard, man. You are, and this is a guy, Peter will go 24/7, clinics, training. I mean, just what a mentor for me just to stay in the game, but getting your kids and your family involved. Talk about that. It just doesn't, Peter just doesn't have his own business and hey, the family's over here. He finds a nice balance. Explain that a little bit and how people, fathers, husbands, wives, can find a good balance when they're, maybe working too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all in that same boat, right? We're all working, we're all doing that. And it's a challenge, right? It's, the best thing in the world is being self-employed and the worst thing in the world is being self-employed, right? So finding that balance, for us, it's Lisa is the backbone, right? You have to have somebody that's a strong support that believes in who you are and what you're doing. So that's number one, right? So without Lisa, with her belief and letting me be who I am and do the things I want to do, I mean, she's the real backbone, right? She's the behind the scenes. She's the one that keeps things together. She's the one that goes. And with that, I think the coolest thing about it for us, it's crazy now. My kids are coming up. It's our birthday month. We're all born in May. So my youngest just turned 13. My oldest turns 16 tomorrow. So when I think about 13 and 16-year-old kids, but I've been home for 13 years and for 16 years. And I think that's the biggest difference, right? So where, work seems to be always around us, right? It's part of who we are because we're a hockey family, right? So we train hockey players, we have hockey kids come in, we run, hockey teams. And so, but my kids have always been home with us to see it. So they see the good, they see the bad, they see the hard work, they see, hey, why can't we go do this when, we've got to go do this? Or, why are we not going on a vacation where we're playing in a hockey tournament in Florida, right? So it's allowed them to see us in a real terms environment of how things really happen and how hard you really do have to work. But it's allowed them also to see the goodness of what hard work is, how it pays off, the well-roundedness of who we are, the friends and the people that we have and to surround ourselves with us. And now it's great is because they're at that age where, if we're running a rec league or we're running a camp, they can teach. They're there. They're working it. They're there. They're helping outfit kids in gear. They're talking to parents about other things. So they're getting a huge communication piece and learning how to talk and be around kids and people and adults, which I think has been so huge because kids don't know how to communicate anymore. People don't know how to talk. If it's not through a text, if it's not through a Snapchat, if it's not through a device, they literally don't know how to talk. And so I think for us, having that with our family has been something that's been really, really positive for us. And I know it's something that we talk about a lot. And I think they like when people are around. They like when people come in from out of town. They like meeting new people. And so I think it's really helped broaden their scope of understanding the world better and I hope developing some skill sets that I think sometimes are getting lost today.
Absolutely, man. Great advice. And we even see it on our block here. We've been in this area on this street for about a year, and we literally will have 10 to 15 kids show up because they know that we're home, whether we're maybe working, then we can go back and forth and interact. But man, what a huge, to bring your kids into something. And going back to my story a little bit, my father worked all the time, but I remember at a young age taking me to a brand new store opening, man. It was insane. Yeah, the grocery store, man. It was great. And I remember late nights he would take me. Unfortunately, we never had a tight connection relationship-wide, but just me going with my dad was huge. So I'm currently running a vending company where I take the kids. I'll take my 3-year-old. We'll go through a school, man. We'll hang out. We'll look at the fish tank. We'll read a book that's in the lobby. Or if my 3-year-old sees something cool in the corner, I get stuck there for half an hour, 45 minutes.
Right.
It's just, it's part of the game. And, I want to just encourage fathers that, maybe it's time to switch gears a little bit. Money's great. Money's going to be out there. But, man, like Peter said, the kids are mid-teens right now, and it flies by so quick. And I think a lot of dads miss it and just go, what happened? Make a change and find something, whether it's being self-employed or maybe downsizing and just, getting a job that you're not working the crazy hours, just to find that true balance.
Well, and I think one more thing to think, and it's something that I often think about, right? So my oldest, who, when he first started playing high school hockey, right, was on the JV team, and the JV practices in the morning, right? So it's 4:30. It's 4:30, man, right?
Wow,
It's
I don't
early,
miss that.
right? And, when I'm going to bed at 11 or 12 o'clock at night, right, 4:30 comes early, and all I can always try to keep thinking of is it's in another year, it's not going to be there, right? And so,
Absolutely.
I mean, thoughts or advice or things is, those small moments, right? They don't have to, and listen, we're busy, and it might not be where I can take a whole day, but my thing is Lisa's a night owl, I'm a morning guy, right? So I'm up in the morning, so my time with the kids is in the morning, right? My job is making sure that they're fed, they're ready, they got everything, and they go to school, and it's something that, even if it's 20 minutes with my oldest before he goes to high school, but we get the chance to sit together, have breakfast, watch Sports Center, talk, get caught up. And, I get my youngest up, I get to take him to school. And, it's fun, for 16 years, it's the same comment every time. Do your best, have fun, use your manners, be nice to people. And that's what I say every single day that they leave and go to school. And it's a couple of years, all that stuff's going to go away. So if you got to find that small balance, that small time, right, to have, I hope, something that sticks with them, because eventually I won't be taking them to school. They won't need me. I'm not around. They won't be here. So, I really am trying to value that time that we have, and just kind of creating that sort of pattern and that repetition and that habit of us being together.
And that repetition, I remember it because you got married and had kids prior to me. And I had asked you, we were doing a training somewhere, and I said, when do kids get it and move on? And you're like, dude, never.
Never.
Which is cool. But hey, they're going to be out of the house in a couple of years, and you're going to say, and that foundation of manners. When I drop Mike, and we're identical twins except for the hair.
Right.
But I'm an early bird. Julie's a late night, just like Lisa. But when I'm dropping the kids off, and I ask them, who are you going to serve today? Who are you going to look for just to help? Maybe it's a kid getting bullied, whatever it may look like. Use your manners. Be a game changer out there. Make some things happen. And it's great. And I love having a guy like you as a mentor and just a great friend, because, I'm over here taking notes and saying, man, this is great stuff. I need to feed this to my kids, which is awesome. And just having that friendship and someone to go to like that, like yourself, is fantastic. So let's get back to your business a little bit. What were we probably have a lot of dads out there right now that maybe thinking about being an entrepreneur, or maybe they got hit hard in '08 with the recession, maybe lost a business, lost real estate, whatever. But what were some major roadblocks you may have ran into, and how did you overcome them?
I think the thing for me, and what I would consider sort of roadblocks, is, right, being self-employed is, I think, the ability to reinvent yourself. And, when you start something, you have an idea and maybe something goes well and you have success with it, but it could be a camp, it could be a program, it could be a product, it could be anything that you're doing that, man, this is great. Everything's going well. It's full. People are attending, things are happening, but other things happen, in life, and kids get involved in other things. New people come to town, new products, competition, things like that. And so I think the biggest roadblock has always been the ability to, well, what happens when, right, your program that used to have, it was filled up for 5 sessions is now you're struggling to fill 1, right? So then what do you do to be able to find and create something new, to reinvent yourself, to get new people to come, to continue to be able to do something? And I think that's roadblock wise for me has always been, that ability to try to figure out, okay, like, so things go on the up, things go on the down. What do you do when things go on the down? What else do you have that can help bring it? I think moving into the farm, probably the biggest personal roadblock in terms of the ability to, the city coming in and telling us that we needed to be handicap accessible and ADA approved. And I'm thinking, this 150-year-old barn, we got to do what? Put in a handicap bathroom. So, I mean, that was a test of faith for sure. That was a challenge. That was a lot of, trying to figure out, well, does this even make sense anymore? How do we do it? We're doing good things for kids and people, and you want us to do all of this and spend all of this money. And, I think that's been probably one of the other major roadblocks and challenges of trying to figure out how to make this continue to go. How do you make this happen? How does it go? And, every day, man, there's always something, but, keep fighting, keep your head down. And if it's something that you really love, if it's something that you believe in, if it's something that you do, there's always that validation, whether it's an email, a parent, a kid, a smiling face, notes. And I think for me, one of the coolest things is it's people that are coming back. And like today, I just had a training session with a kid that started training with me when he was like a freshman in high school and had never really played hockey, thought he wanted to play hockey, loved hockey, right? And so he's trained. And then through the years, he's a, sophomore in high school or in college now, and he comes back and he wanted to train again. He's like, dude, I just wanted to work out, man, and see you again and hang out again and stuff. And so it's really cool to see and rewarding to see the faces and the kids that people that you've, seen and you've trained and you've skated with and hung out with when they were, middle school, high school, and now they're coming back and they're 30 and now they're having kids and stuff like that. And it's definitely makes me feel old, but young, that I don't feel like, wow, it's really been that long. But, I would say definitely in terms of roadblocks, the ability for me, for my job, reinventing programs and things to that, to make sure that I'm always timely, that I can always figure out if something goes down, how to get something back up.
Absolutely. And great advice, always looking for the new things, staying ahead of the game, whether it's technology, in your industry. Also think about this. We're both hockey players. And I explain this to my groups a lot. Most of us have some kind of sporting background. I mean, seriously, think about it. When I get a guy that's coming to me, tail between his legs, man, oh man, woe is me, and this happened and that happened, and I'm like, dude, when you played hockey back in the day, did you get hit so hard in the corner? Did you just lay there and just stay there for a couple weeks? I mean, did you win every game you played? Did you win every championship that was available to you? Absolutely not. And then all of a sudden we get into the game of life and it's like, you get hit and it's like, oh, wow, that hurt. Like, everybody gets paralyzed. They just stay there. But, I'm right next to you, man. Being an entrepreneur, man, making lots of money, getting wiped out, starting over. And the reason I brought up the whole roadblock, I remember the scenario with the, with the farm, and you had to dish out a lot of cash.
Yeah.
And it was just, insanity with the whole city and all.
Still hurts. Thanks for bringing that painful memory up.
But hey, this is what makes us who we are, man.
That's right.
We have stories for our families, our grandkids. When, I don't want to be the guy, and I said this earlier, that wakes up at 90 and be like, life was just there, and here I am, and I didn't do anything with it. Man, you remember the city came in, but man, look 10 years down the road, man, remember this happened? Man, that was awesome. Just
Right.
all part of the game. Just love that. Just like in hockey. I mean, come on, I got 4 front teeth knocked out 3
I,
days before Christmas.
I
Did I
remember it.
quit?
I remember it
No, you
well.
invited me
No.
to a clinic. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we did a camp right afterwards. Your teeth were all summer teeth over here, summer over there.
Summer teeth. That's right.
Summer teeth, baby.
Man, what an embarrassing time. I remember being on the plane and the flight attendant was like, hey, can I get you something to drink? And I like to smile. And I saw the look in her eyes. I was like, oh, man, I'm so sorry I smiled. Oh, man, crazy. Well, hey, we're going to kind of finish things up here, but I do have something called a rapid fire. So we're
All right.
hockey players, man. Top of the slot. We got how many pucks do we have? We got 5 pucks.
Oh, boy.
And, we like firing at the goalies. It's just
All right.
what we do. All right. So I'm just going to
One-timers?
rip it. Yeah. If you want to do one-timers, that is absolutely good. So first question, Peter Dale, favorite book?
Favorite book that comes to mind, Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman.
Good one. Good one. How about favorite husband moment?
Favorite husband moment. I would say the first thing that comes to mind is when we had 2 years ago, we had our 20th wedding anniversary party. We had a bunch of family and friends out to the farm, and we had a big table set up and big set. We set it out by the pool and stuff like that. And sitting next to Lisa and being able to talk to her and look back over 20 years, which seems like, oh my God, how is it possible that it's been 20 years? So I think sharing that moment with her, with all of our friends and family that were there.
Wow, that is good. I was actually going to bring up the moment when you got high sticked in a tournament a week before your wedding, but I didn't want to go there.
Good one. That was a good one. Thank you.
How about favorite dad moment?
Wow. There are so many I'm going to go with something really recent, which is going to sound really crazy because, seeing my kids win, sports or activities or tournaments and things like that. Those are all really cool. But this is something that just hit me just this last week. And it was for both of them. And one was, and it was both about Dylan and TY being around other kids. And Dylan, where was a friend came to pick him up, and they were talking outside and laughing in the driveway, and I saw and I was watching them, and I just smiled. I was like, that's really cool. They're at that age, and he had a friend and he would talk to. And the other day when I dropped TY off at school, when he got off and he was walking up the sidewalk, and I just heard this kid yell, Dale, and he ran up to him, and then just to see him walking. And I know it sounds like so basic and easy, but like those things and those last 2 days, literally just my heart was like, that's awesome, because your kids leave you, right? They're at school all day. You don't really know what goes on. And just to see that they had a friend and somebody liked them. And that was my proud dad moment in the last, just of the recent, which probably
Awesome.
isn't the traditional of what you would think of, my kid did this or my kid did that, or, doing this or that. But that for me was really, it hit me really hard.
That was pretty awesome. Hockey players don't cry, but I came really close. That was a great story. That's what it's all about, man. It's a small memory. It doesn't have to be, when my wife gave birth. Actually, I got that one last night, which is awesome. I was a big fan of that too.
Right.
It's something like that, man. You see your kids getting to an age where they're just interacting and being out there and just doing it. All right, last question.
Oh,
How about one piece of game-changing advice you can share with our audience today?
I mean, I think for me, my one piece of game-changing advice would be, it's creating positive habits. And for me, what that is I'm a big believer in movement in the morning when you get up, doing things throughout your day. I just, having watched people get old, having had a hip replacement myself, having known that it's keep moving. You have to keep moving, right? Whether that's in sports, whether that's in fitness, whether you want to lose weight, whether you run a business, right? Whether you've got 16 kids that you're trying to juggle, you have to keep moving. And when you stop, right, that's when it's over, right? When you stop moving and when you stop that, I think that's the time when right, you're going to cease to exist. And, you know, I remember a good one of Razor here over when we moved in our first house, right? This is a guy that goes 24/7, right? He's a guy that I would come into Philadelphia and we'd go play a hockey tournament, and he's running lawn care and snow removal, and we're playing a game at midnight and we got to go shovel snow and sidewalk at 4 a.m. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me, man? What's going on, dude? Can I get a nap? And he's like, sleep when you're dead, dude. Sleep when you're dead, right? But I've got this great picture of you, and I don't know if you remember this one, dude, but we were removing the concrete from the walkway at my house, and there's a picture of just us in this wheelbarrow, and the wheelbarrow's tipped up, man, and we're just freaking laid out. And it was like, dude, we're just napped out. We're just tapped out. So I always think about that one and that idea, man. And it's just, for me, I think that, again, my last piece of game-changing advice is keep moving, right? Keep moving. However small, however big it is, right? And when you do it, right, it's like a snowball that moves downhill, right? It gets momentum and it picks up speed and it keeps going, right? And no matter whatever it is, right? If you can't walk, you crawl. If you can't crawl, you know, you're on all four. Whatever it is, whatever you got to do, keep moving. Keep moving.
Wow, that is awesome. Great advice. And keep moving. And just to throw this into the audience real quick, that I was the only guy who flew into Peter's house several years ago with chainsaws and did a little tree work for him too. After actually before the wheelbarrow incident, because we were exhausted.
We were tired.
That was a long one.
That was a long one.
Awesome. Well, hey, let's do this. Where can our audience find you?
So if you are looking to get a little piece of me, farmtoughhockey.com. I'm on Facebook at Farm Tough. My Instagram is Farm Tough. Do a lot of stuff through Instagram and Facebook with social media. A lot of pictures, a lot of recordings, a lot of videos on our training and our kids and things that we do. And certainly the website, farmtoughhockey.com.
Peter, greatly appreciate it. An amazing story. Please check Peter out at farmtoughhockey.com. You'll see him all over YouTube. I mean, just incredible training, whatever you may need. He is the guy for it. And thank you so much to our loyal community of game-changing dads. And if you are ready to be a game-changing dad, check out our new mastermind groups at www.gamechangingdads.com/mastermind. Thank you so much for listening, and have a rocking and blessed week. Peter, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bray.